It is easy to get ourselves into a place where we feel pride and our emotions swell and we're very patriotic at the beginning of a military conflict or a war, and then we kind of go on about our lives and we forget how much this can affect people locally who have friends, brothers, husbands, fathers who are serving half a world away. Trent Kelly is the 1st District Congressman here in the state of Mississippi. He, I think, probably knows that all too well. There's nothing glamorous, Mr. Congressman, about war, and yet so many times it is necessary. You have seen that up close and personally in your life, in your career. A general thought from you as we start on this conflict that we're dealing with in Iran right now.
Well, I think the president was well within his authority to strike. Iran has been a bad actor since the Ayatollah took over in 1979 or 80. And so, listen, they've been striking with the Houthis. They've been striking with Hezbollah all over in Palestine. And so, I mean, sometimes you just have to take out guys who consistently are bad actors, especially when they're trying to get a nuclear weapon. And you see they're striking civilian targets on purpose. So you see the kind of people that we're dealing with. So I'm glad that we struck first and took out some of the leadership. But it's not going to be easy, and there is a cost to freedom.
There certainly is. One of the things that seems to be debated online right now is what our munitions stockpile looks like. Obviously, the previous administration made lots of our weaponry available to Ukraine. We have been supplying Israel over the last few years. Are we in a good place in your mind? And I'm not necessarily asking for exact numbers in terms of the munitions that we have available to sustain the level of attack that has happened for the first few days of this conflict?
Yeah, I think our stockpiles are fine for an extended period of time. The problem is the production base to build those things, which is what some of the things that we worked on in this last NDA and working on this one, is not that we don't have the stockpiles now, but it's the replenishing of those stockpiles when you extend them. And so we're going to have to ramp up production here in the United States to make sure that we replenish these stocks once we've expended them.
There's been a focus in the state of Mississippi on contracts with companies that are working with defense firms that are working directly with the military. Is that something that makes sense in our home state as we continue to kind of go down this road of advanced manufacturing and defense-related contractors?
Oh, absolutely. Mississippi is full of contractors, both large and small, who build pieces and components and actually whole systems that the United States military uses. And so we need to continue to invest in them. Some of the problem is the startups or small businesses. We've got to make sure that we're giving them long-term signals so that they can build out to the capacity, because it's hard to make capital investments when you don't have the certainty of knowing that that product is going to be there 2 or 3 years from now, especially if you're a startup company. The big primes can take that loss, but these startups cannot.
Congressman Trent Kelly is my guest. He represents Mississippi's 1st District. You spent time in Iraq during Operation Desert Storm as a 2nd lieutenant. You know, it's striking to me as we watch the coverage of this war in Iran, how much things have changed in the last 20 years in terms of war fighting and the way this looks, especially with the development and the massive technological upgrades that drones have had. As you watch this unfold, do you think back to your time from 20 years ago when you were on the ground in Iraq and how different things are?
Well, I do a little bit. You know, the Iranians were there. You know, many of the casualties we took in 2005 and 9 and 10 were the Iranian weapons that they were pushing over the same bad actors. But, you know, I think what's important to understand is the president took out their ballistic missile systems. You know, drones are a local or regional at best, the ones that they have. We have some that are longer range. But we took out their ballistic missile capability, the ability to reach longer distances in our bases. We also took out their air defenses. So, I mean, we literally have air superiority in day 3. Think about the Russian invasion of Ukraine. They never got air superiority, and here we are 48, 72 hours in, and we already have established air superiority by taking out the air defenses. So I think our leadership understood, Raising Kane, General Kane, the chairman, I think they understood what they had to do to make it a more permissive environment for us to continue to go after their deep threat weapons.
And Congressman, I'm glad you said that. You say air superiority, which basically gives us the ability to fly where we want, when we want, without being worried about our aircraft taking fire from the ground.
No,
or is that not right?
It means we have the ability, but we still have to worry. I mean, there's still risk out there. It's just not as great. We have a whole lot more freedom of movement.
What about the fact that we were also able to take out the entire Iranian Navy in 3 days?
Well, they didn't have much of a Navy to start with, but our sailors on those ships, listen, what that does is keep them from threatening our Navy, threatening our carriers, our bigger things. And, and this reminds me a lot of the initial invasion of Iraq when they were talking about they defeated the American forces and we weren't in Baghdad. Bullets are rattling and American soldiers are showing up in the camera. Iran, they said they sunk a carrier, they did this. Listen, these people do nothing but lie. They're trying to save face with their people because hopefully the people will come and take over that government. The Iranian people are good people. The leadership is horrible.
In terms of war strategy, I understand that Iran was backed into a corner and they don't appear to have many friends right now. And the friends that they may have had, even if they were just kind of friends on the side, they have shot missiles at all of the surrounding states. What do you see any strategy that was there in terms of the way that they reacted to being attacked?
Well, I mean, if you go back, like they attacked Saudi Arabia, but they've been attacking Saudi Arabia for 10 years with the Houthis. So they've been using their proxies. This war has been going on, not just with Israel, but also their Arab neighbors. The Iranians are not Arabs, they're Persians. And so they have constantly been at war through proxies with all of these folks. So it did not surprise me when they struck at their Arab neighbors who are not necessarily their friends, who they think are infidels like us, just not as bad as us.
Yeah. Visiting with Congressman Trent Kelly, represents the 1st District of Mississippi, served multiple tours in Iraq and the Desert Storm conflicts as well. We have been... I'm sorry, go ahead, Congressman.
I do want to say, listen, we've already lost at least 6 American lives that we know of.
Yes, sir.
And those are precious, each and every one. And I just want everyone to know that there's a cost to war and there's a cost to freedom, but we honor those families and those brave warriors who sustained to combat injuries and death. And I just want to remember those folks.
That's well said, and I appreciate you doing that. Where I was going was, we have proven time and time again that in terms of tactical strikes and just initial shock and awe, to use a term from years ago, we're really, really good at that. We have not been good at nation building. We end up being there too long, and it's too prolonged, and it's not always what a host country wants. The president has said that's not what we're doing here. This is not going to be long and drawn out. How much confidence do you have in our ability not to find ourselves trying to rebuild the nation of Iran?
Listen, we never say we won't send in ground troops. I hope that if we do, it'll be a minimal number. We do not need to rebuild Iran. We don't need to make the mistakes we made in Iraq and Afghanistan. You kill the bad guys. You get out of there. You leave them to build their own. I have high confidence that the president doesn't have the appetite to send in ground troops unless absolutely necessary to achieve military objectives. I do not see him trying to rebuild Iran into anything. So I have high confidence that the president is going to use the minimal force necessary, including ground troops, to achieve the military objectives, and he's not worried about nation building.
And do we believe the people of Iran have the ability on the backside of us setting the table for them to take their country back over?
I mean, I don't know. When you've never had a democracy, it's hard to have a democracy. It's hard to understand. You know, the second level of leadership, much like we're seeing in Venezuela and we see they're just as corrupt as the people at the top. But I think that they do. I think they have to have help, but I think that help comes in terms of diplomacy and giving them assets and the ability and the tools to do that, not troops on the ground.
Congressman Trent Kelly, always appreciate your time. It's great catching up with you and appreciate you making some time for us this morning.